Hey, it's Rob, and welcome to Axel's Garage. Now, today it is a muggy May day, drizzly and hot and muggy. We've been out at the field with the kids all morning. Both of the twins had games today. So we wanted to get a little bit of work done this afternoon before it got dark and before it really started to rain. We are supposed to get some rain later today, a decent amount. But we got Ginger back, and Ginger needed a tranny. We got a friend who does rebuilding. He's a tranny guy, and he did us a solid and just went through Ginger's tranny, soup to nuts, replaced everything that needed to be replaced so that we could have a reliable vehicle for the long haul. So we need to do a couple things to Ginger, and one is replace that idler, I keep saying idler, tensioner pulley that failed. And this is what happened. Ginger had a transmission line break, leaked out the transmission fluid and burnt up the transmission. Now, how did the transmission line break? Well, the transmission line broke because the tensioner pulley broke, and when the tensioner pulley broke, it flopped. It was still making contact with the belt, so it was still spinning, and it was up against one of the metal transmission cooling lines, wore through it, and here comes disaster. So now, looking a little bit deeper into it, how did that tensioner pulley break? They do tend to go bad. Usually the bearing goes bad and they make a lot of noise. I've never seen one just completely, the spring pressure in it just flopped. And I'll show you what the tensioner pulley looks like. I have one right here. So, new in a AC Delco box, I'll link it in the description below, is the AC tensioner pulley. Now the AC belt only goes around the crank and the AC compressor, that's it. So it's got this pulley that is spring loaded, and it applies tension to the belt, and that's what keeps your tension on your belt. And this spring loaded pulley, let me put this down, this spring loaded pulley, and you can see I could turn it on its mount, and that's the spring loaded. It flopped. And why would it flop? Usually the bearing goes bad in the pulley itself and it makes noise, and that's when you wind up replacing them. I have had to replace one or two of these on some of the other vehicles, like this era vehicle that I've had. Why did it break in this vehicle? Well, we noticed when we looked under it to try to find where the leak was coming from initially, we were able to see this when we looked under the vehicle. And you're not supposed to be able to see this because these trucks, and if you're familiar with these trucks, have what's called a lower engine splash shield. And all it is a piece of plastic that bolts on the front cross member and covers the lower engine splash shield from splashing. So you take some years of salt, water, brine, and rain, and dirty, grimy water, especially mixed with New York salt and crap like that, splashing on the lower part of the engine where it's not supposed to be splashing because there's a shield that's supposed to be there to protect things like this. So I'm guessing that the missing splash shield is what led. So you got a $40 splash shield that was missing, which led to the failure of a $30 part, which then led to the failure of a $50 transmission cooling line, which then led to the failure of a $2,500 transmission. So you can see how that snowballed into a large repair because the splash shield was either taken off by a mechanic previously and not put back on. I have no idea why it's not there, but it's not there. We ordered one, and I'll link that also, and you'll see it later on in the video. I'll link that in the description below as well. So what we're going to do is, while we're in there, we're going to change the main drive serpentine belt. We're going to change the AC belt, which is not on it right now because of this problem. We're going to change this. We're going to put the splash shield on. We'll throw a new battery in Ginger so that my wife is driving Ginger every day right now. And this is going to be our family commute vehicle when we do family road trips, whether it be vacations or to see the kids in college or anything like that where we have to haul a bunch of crap too. This will be the vehicle that we use, so we got to make sure it's rock solid. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to replace this and get it going. So let me pop the hood. We got to take the main drive serpentine belt off, and then we can go below and fix up and button up everything on the bottom end, and then put the new belt on the top end. I got the camera up under the hood as best I can. I got the two side terminals off the battery, and then you got this this little bracket that goes across. I think these are 10s. Yep. so that you could take this one out. I think you could turn these so you don't take them both out. Get that one loose, take this one out all the way, and I think you could move it up out of the way. That, I can turn that up out of the way, and we'll be able to pull this battery out. Hold down on the bottom, which is a 13 millimeter, I believe. Alright, let me just get this out of the way completely. And of course, no sooner do I start filming, but the skies open up and we're getting a pretty steady rain now. But hopefully it'll stop and it'll stay light enough where we can get this done without getting soaking wet. At this point, I'm committed. I don't care. I am going to get this done no matter how wet I get, and to get this freaking battery out is such a pain in the neck. Can't get your hand in. I need one of those battery grabber thingers. I have one somewhere. I only knew where it was. It's not in my toolbox. That I know. This thing, this truck is so unmolested. It still has this. Let's see if I can get it off without breaking it. The original battery insulator. All right, now with the engine cover off, we need to take this top air flume, whatever it is, top intake air box off, whatever they call it. So it is connected to a radiator hose with a Christmas tree clip down on one end. And then there's two clamps, one here at the throttle body and one at the mass airflow sensor that you loosen up and you slip it out. Now it's raining really hard. I don't care, I'm committed and I'm gonna do this. Reach in. 15 millimeter on the tensioner bolt. Pull it up. Should be able to slip it right off one of the pulleys. And then let it go back down. I could put that right there. And I could snake this belt out. And this old belt, it's got a little bit of cracking in it, but there's nothing really horribly wrong with it. We're in here, we don't know how old it is. It does feel a little brittle and dry. So we could save this belt and put it in our parts box because it's a belt that works. Now that we got this belt off, we can go down and start on the AC belt. We need this belt off so that we can get the AC belt lives behind it, and that's why we pull this belt off. On these vehicles, a very chronic issue on these vehicles is some carbon buildup around the throttle blades and the throttle body. So while I'm here and I have the airbox off, I am going to take some seafoam on a rag and just clean out the ridge that builds up around the throttle blade. So what I like to do here spray some seafoam in there. All right, you can see where the belt tensioner lives, right up there. And if I could slide it down, when it flopped down this way, it rested up against those brand new transmission lines and went through one of the lines. So, because of the rain, having a little trouble with the camera getting up in here. But that bolts to the front lower AC compressor bracket with 2 bolts, 15 millimeter headed bolts. I think they're 10 millimeter bolts, but you take a 15 millimeter socket, pull them out, and you put the new one in. They got to be tightened down to about 30 to 35 foot-pounds, and they do get Loctite on them. And it's starting to rain even harder, and I'm laying in the water, so I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to try to get the new one in, and then we'll pick up there. All right, so as you can see, the sky's opened up, but this is the splash shield right here. It's going to go underneath. Run of bolts like this. It sits like that underneath and protects everything down there. So I'm going to take you down and I'll show you what I got. So underneath, you could see I got the belt on. I got the new tensioner in place. I put some zip ties on the Tranny cooling lines just to hold them parallel so that one wasn't closer to the tensioner pulley. And I did check one of our other vehicles, and they are that close. So that is normal. I guess these things really don't fail in that fashion that often. Hopefully not. Hopefully never again. Knock wood. Wait, let me put the light down and bang my head, because this is a pain in the ass. So now I got to put this splash shield in. Right here on the, you can see the 3 rest spots on the front cross member. It's going to go from there to the holes on this middle cross member that goes under the front of the engine, and that stops water from coming up this way and hitting all this crap here. So I'm gonna get that in place, and then I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so there's the top bolts, bottom bolts, and everything's all covered up nicely nice. There was one steering component up there, not sure what you would call it, but it had a grease fitting on it, so I greased it while I had the cover off, because that's the only way you could grease it, is by taking this cover off. And we're done. I'm done on the water. You can see the puddle I'm laying in. This sucks. All right, back up top, we got our belt, and I will link it down below, like I always do. Refer to your diagram on your cowl if you have it. If you don't, you're screwed, because it's a pain in the ass to figure out if you don't. But what I like to do normally is to get it hooked on the crank. The thing that makes it a little bit of a pain in the ass is when the belt has that memory from being, you know, wrapped up in that holder. And I have it wrong. Let me check my diagram. Oh, way off. Okay. I'm on the crank. That one. That one good. Alright, you just make sure the belt's on all the pulleys with the grooves good. The pulleys without the grooves, it's the back side of the belt. And they'll center themselves, but try to keep them in the middle of the pulleys without the grooves. I did have to refer to my diagram, because like I said, it looks easy, and then you go do it, and it's a mess. So, with that done, I could wipe up my rain, crap coming off my shirt from the trees, and we could put our upper air intake box thing, flume, plenum, whatever you might want to call it. Wow, this is a GM hose. Oh, it's got a date on it, 2009, so these were replaced in 2009. nice that they at least date the hoses. I never saw that before. In there, like that. Okay, we're good. Got that cleaned out. Now we could take our upper and get it in, or is the tripod in the way? No, I can get it in. Okay. So I wiggle it onto the throttle body. On that side, wiggle it onto the mass airflow. On this side, and I think I'm in good shape. Find the hole, snug it up. Why am I wiping everything down? Because this car is like new. I got my replacement battery, which is just a battery that's a lot newer than the one that was in it. This one, it's dated 5/21, which is a year. But we haven't had the battery a year. We bought it probably in, if I had to guess, in the fall. So probably 9 of 21 or so, thereabouts, however you want to say it. And it's an interstate battery, which I've been using the interstate batteries for a while now. I like them a lot better than anything else, really. Got them at Costco. The Walmart batteries are actually made by a decent parent company. So they're pretty good. Alright, so I am going to put a little white grease on my stud, because these could be a real pain in the ass. And I'm going to fish it down into place. 13 millimeter if anybody's counting. But a little white grease on that hold down definitely helps. Just gonna give my terminals a little wire brush just to make sure they're good and clean. Put my little bracket back on. When I put it over here, bolts on the bracket. I'll put a little white grease on them as well. I put white grease on almost every bolt because this shit up here rusts, and you want to be nice for the next guy, because the next guy, yeah, probably going to be you. Make sure all my tools are out of the way. I'll give it one more quick wipe down. I'll start it up, make sure that belt is feeling good. All right, I'm soaked all the way down to my underwear. But we got it done.
You wear underwear?
Yeah, I wear underwear. We got it done. Got an AC belt on it. Got the tensioner pulley on. Everything works fine. The AC works, compresses, cycling, which we were glad to see because we had no idea whether the AC worked. Guy said everything worked. I wouldn't doubt it, but we didn't know whether it worked or not. Now we know. Everything works. I'm wet, but needed to get done. We got it done. The splash shield's on it, and hopefully now that will protect that tensioner pulley from deteriorating and flopping down. What a horrible design. It's like a finger width and a half above, and I'm talking to Mark behind the camera, but it's a finger width and a half above the Tranny coolings. You saw it on the video. I checked Pearl, to see where Pearl's lines were, a finger width. And I can't believe that that's not a more common thing, that thing breaks and hits it. Maybe it doesn't fail that way. I know the two that I've had fail in the past, the bearing failed, the spring tension didn't fail. So maybe the splash shield was the problem all along. A $40 stupid plastic splash shield that was removed and never put back on, took out the transmission. That's what I'm going with. So we're done. I'm gonna go in the house and strip down and take a shower and dry off. That's it today from Maxwell's Garage. I'll put links to everything we used in the comments below, in the description below, and you go to the comments below and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.